हेलो फ्रेंड्स, आपके अपने इंग्लिश लिटरेचर के चैनल लिट इस सिटी में एक बार फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। दोस्तों, हम बात कर रहे थे टीएस एलियट की फेमस पोएम द लव सॉन्ग ऑफ एल्फ्रेड जे प्रूफॉक के बारे में। दोस्तों, जैसा हम ऑलरेडी इसके फर्स्ट लेसन के अंदर देख चुके हैं कि ये जो पोएम है एलियट ने अपने पोइटिक करियर की स्टार्टिंग में लिखी थी और इस पोएम में प्रेजेंट करते हैं वो एक एजिंग जेंटलमैन को हु इज besotted with dilemmas and indecisions. We have seen that how he is in a state of continuous flux of thoughts, what to do and how to do it, but he doesn't have the courage to do this job. वो शायद अपनी बिलवेड को प्रपोज करना चाहते हैं एंड मे बी देयर आर सम अदर कंसिडरेशंस इन हिज माइंड। ये सारी चीजें हमने फर्स्ट पार्ट के अंदर देखी थी और आइए अब बढ़ते हैं हम इस पोएम के सेकंड पार्ट की तरफ। तो दोस्तों, हम देखते हैं वापस से एलियट बात करते हैं। इन द रूम द women come and go. Talking of Michelangelo, we have already seen a reference to this great Renaissance painter Michelangelo, and I have already told you in that video कि किस तरह से at that particular late Victorian period and early 20th century women have limited choice of topics to talk about, to seem to be cultured and well educated. उनमें से एक टॉपिक था discussing high Renaissance art, and that is why Eliot once again gives reference to this. And indeed, there will be time to wonder, do I dare and do I dare? Look at this construction. First positive and then once again positive thought. Do I dare and do I dare? Instead of just putting two contrasting views, do I dare and don't I dare, he uses the same formula again. This shows that he is trying to reach to a one particular point. वो डिसिसिव होना चाहते हैं, वो एक जजमेंट लेना चाहते हैं, लेकिन still he thinks there is time, enough time still remaining that he can decide for his final decisive step. But at the same time, he says, time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. This nursery like rhyming. देखिए, एलियट की पोइट्री की it is one of the wonderful features of his poetry, even in the great poem The Wasteland. अपेरेंटली ऐसा लगता है कि इन पोएम्स के अंदर कोई राइम स्कीम नहीं है। ऑब्वियसली दे आर रिटन इन फ्री वर्स, पर्टिकुलर में देयर इज नो मीटर, but still there are parts, passages which have a very good rhyming schemes, sometimes alternative and sometimes we have couplet scheme. For example, देखिए, do I dare, time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair, as if a nursery rhyme is going on. Now, reference to this bald spot, it is very significant because it once again highlights the lack of self-confidence and the insecurities about the personal appearance that Prufrock is suffering from. किस तरह से उसको इस बात का बहुत concern है. He is very much stressed about this fact that the hairline is receding. जो बाल हैं वो recede हो रहे हैं, and baldness at that time was considered to be a kind of inferior physical feature. Uh, Once again, I refer to julianpeterscomics.com, as you can see the reference downside. And here, the women, they are talking about Michelangelo, his famous paintings, and he is at the doorsteps. He has reached almost at the door he wants to open. He is about to knock it, but still, there is time for him to turn back and descend down the stairs. Always, it is not always the case ascending the stairs, sometimes it is also descending the stairs. This bald spot is one another thing that basically concerns him and for which he is very much feeling frustrated. And more than his own estimate. It is what others will say. As they will say, he says how his hair is growing thin. Now he is concerned about this fact that people will witness this. I will share a very interesting fact, the business of wigs. My dear friend, it is not only the professional artists who wear wigs during their performance in theater. In real life also we find people searching for wigs who have this balding problem, and there are many treatments also, hair transplantation and other things. It shows that still we consider hair to be a proper physical beautified property. Having good hair means having among the elites, and baldness is considered as a serious kind of inferiority among the posh cultural society. The same thing was there during the First World War time, and look at how fussy he is about his appearance, and we will find something funny also here. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin. This is important. My collar mounting firmly to the chin. Why? It is kind of thing that he is not able to come up front, बिल्कुल open होकर नहीं आ सकते हैं, and he is almost like in a naqab, in a mask. He has covered his whole persona. My necktie, rich and modest. Look at use of these adjectives, rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. Now, total we can say he is in kind of armor of civilization, a proper gentleman. उन्होंने coat, collar, necktie, and there is also simple pin. There is nothing missing. He is dressed to the nines, as they say in an idiomatic manner. But still, his we can say insecurities, his self-depreciation is not gone. He, in the very next line, he contrasts this good dressing with the fact that still people will observe, people will make notice his arms and legs are thin. He is not good, built physically good. So, because of this incongruity, because of this self doubt, because of this, we can say, self deprecating attitude, he still has this doubt, element of doubt in his mind, and he says, do I dare? Still has this kind of hesitancy. And look at this question. This rhetorical question basically puts his mind, disturb the universe. Do I dare disturb the universe? Do I dare? ऐसा नहीं है कि he is saying कि do I dare ask the lady my question, or to propose the lady. For him, it is of cosmic importance. It is not some little achievement. It is not some small feat. It is of some great significance. As if the answer or his question decides the peace and settlement of the universe. अगर वो ये क्वेश्चन करता है तो it is of cosmic significance. It is because his universe, his idea of his universe, the limitation of his universe is only to himself. He doesn't have noble thoughts and sublime ideas like heroes have. He has a very petty idea of the world which revolves around his ego only. In a minute, there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. Once again, friends, in the earlier lesson also, I suggested that these lines once again refers to the concept of what we call meta poetry. Now, friends, meta poetry is poetry about the art of poetry. For example, metafiction, fiction which is about fiction. Similarly, meta poetry. Don't you think these are kind of lines which suggest the process of poetry, the process of writing a poem? For decisions and revisions, obviously poetry sometimes it is spontaneous, but most of times all of the poets write and revise, and sometimes they reverse their ideas also. Maybe Eliot once again is hinting at the art of poesy. For I have known them all already. Once again, he repeats it, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. This is not only very popular phrases, one of the popular phrases of Eliot. It has many kind of interpretation possible. For one thing, if we talk about measurement basis, coffee spoons are even one fourth of teaspoons in measurement. So I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. He has lived a very prudent life. He has lived life in very little measures or very little amount. Another thing is that coffee was considered to be an intellectual drink. Even today, especially in India, it is considered to be the drink of the intellectuals. You can pose a pic of yourself drinking coffee and as if you are a great intellectual. Though then at that time also, during this period of the early 20th century, coffee shops, or we can say saloons, which were basically term used in France, they were quite of fashion, quite in vogue, and Prufrock may be hinting that most of his life is spent uh, going and coming back from these coffee bars. I know the voices dying with a dying fall. This whole passage beneath the music from a farther room. Now, this is quite an ambiguous kind of lines. These voices, what do these voices refer to? They may be voices of people talking intimately. They may be voices of indistinct people, what we have seen earlier in this poem, muttering their, we can say, agitation, their frustration, all their anger, anxieties, these kind of things. Dying with a dying fall. Fall is basically used in the tempo, or we can say rhythm of the music. And he says, beneath the music from a farther room. Music is playing in some another room, and because of this music, because of the tempo of this music, the voices which are coming from the rooms are not clear, are not distinct. They seems to be dying, muffled. Once again, it may be reference to the sexual act, and the voices is basically made during the sexual act, and they are basically hushed by this music. So once again, reference to the cheap red light kind of area. So how should I presume? Now he has taken into consideration all pros and cons of the situation. He has taken an account of himself, he has taken an account of the atmosphere, the conditions, and now once again he launches the next query. How should he presume? How should he go through it? You can see in this picture that how this man has known them all. Basically, he means that जितने भी सोसाइटी में लोग हैं, he has known them back and forth, have known the evening, what happens. It's a dull routine, city life. सुबह शाम दोपहर क्या होता है, and his life has been measured out with coffee spoons, little quantity, and the voices dying with the dying fall beneath the music from a father room. So how should I make a move? किस तरह से आगे बढ़ें? And I have no now. It is a very interesting thing to note. Abhi he has talked about known them all. He has not talked about one particular person. Now he is talking about parts of body. We will see further also. And I have known the eyes already. Known them all. Once again, he repeats the formula. The eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. Formulated phrase as if in a formula. Formula means fixed type, stereotypes. He is good, he is bad, he is gentleman, he is a rogue, he is a flirt, he is an introvert, he is an extrovert. These are all formula. Whenever we encounter a person with whom we have little acquaintance, we very instantly formulate him through a phrase. That is why he says the eyes which look at him as if they have pinned him. He will use the very word. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin? He once again poses another doubt of his mind, and he says that he feels like a live insect pinned on the wall. You remember that childhood kind of game जिसमें हम ऑल पिन के ऊपर एक इंसेक्ट को पिन कर देते हैं, and then we enjoyed it was a kind of sadistic pleasure, but we enjoyed looking at his body wriggling with pain and trying to escape that pain. Even an interesting fact, I will try to bring you back to the starting beginning of the poem. In the beginning of the poem, he says that evening is like a patient, okay, atherized, and spreading out like a patient atherized on a table. Don't you find similarities between these two images? On one In one image, evening is on the table like a patient, and in the other image, the protagonist is stick on the wall like an insect pinned. So the idea is once again repeating. This is a favorite device of Eliot, coming back once again and again to one particular image until it becomes a kind of objective correlative. All of you who have an basic knowledge of T.S. Eliot know about his concept of objective correlative. And when I am formulated, when these young ladies see me and they fix me with a formula, sprawling on a pin, I find myself sprawled on a pin when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall. If it is my poor condition, then how should I begin? How can I dare to venture when I am pinned, when I am totally fixed, when I am paralyzed by such looks, to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways? I distinctly remember this image of butt ends in another poem by T.S. Eliot, that is The Preludes, in which he compares either the evening or the morning with the butt ends of the cigarettes. Similarly, he considered butt end. Butt end is quite useless part of the cigarette, and it is basically totally squashed beneath the feet. He compares himself, his day, that they are totally wasted, useless, and ways he has completely lost the way. He has not been able to fulfill the promise of his life. How should I begin to spit out? Look at repetition of sound to spit out all the but, as if he's spitting the very words. And how should I presume? How should I explain my sorry state? How should I win their attention in such a condition? You can this image is very good to understand what do the poet mean. When I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, you can see he is a live insect. He is almost paralytic. Then how should I begin to spit out the butt ends of my days and ways? Okay. And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare. Okay. Okay. From eyes, now we move to arms. Another example of the figure of speech. Many of you are familiar with synecdoche. You know what is synecdoche? Synecdoche is that speech, that figure of speech in which we talk of parts or whole by using whole or parts. For example, if I say arms were waving, I am actually referring to people who are waving their arms. So arms is an example of synecdoche here. And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare. Now there are two lines, and these two are almost juxtaposed with each other. One is the ideal beauty, ideal perception of beauty, I should say. Arms that are braceleted, having wearing good golden bracelets, white and bare without hair. Now this is one of the myths of female beauty, that female body should be without hair. It is considered criteria for judging the beauty, and we can say the standard of beauty among women. But in the lamplight, down with light brown hair and mark of exclamation, it shows that these women try to fake hairlessness on the body. They use certain powder so that the hair is not their hair are not visible. In the lamplight, on close inspection, the protagonist is able to witness downed, feather like, very soft, light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that make me so digress? Once again, look at rhyming. It's going on continuously. Bare, hair, dress, digress. Is it the perfume, the scent, which is basically making his mind agitated with these thoughts? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl. And should I then presume? And how should I begin? In such a scenario, in such a, we can say, confused state of mind, so many thoughts coming and going, how should he start talking about his mission, talking about his ambition to propose the girl when he is not sure about himself? Shall I say I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows? Look at the long sentence. Look at, we can say, he is feeling the point of crisis is almost coming. He is feeling he is at the end of the tether. There are no options left to him. I have gone at dusk through narrow streets. Dear friends, remember the first part in which we talked about streets that never ends, like a tedious argument. Narrow streets, once again, shady, cheap area. Watch the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men. It is one of features of Eliot's poetry that we never find happy or satisfied people. Mostly they are bored, lonely people, mechanized machine, robots. They don't know vocation of their life. The smoke is rising from their pipes and they are waiting endlessly, which was then later explored by the absurd dramatist, the quintessential anxiety of modern man. What will happen? When will happen? We all are waiting for something significant to happen. Leaning out of windows, as if waiting, leaning, they are leaning out of windows as if waiting for something to happen. Can't we say leaning out of windows, waiting for Godot? Isn't very mind thought provoking idea? ऐसा नहीं है, क्या लगता नहीं है कि एलियट इज ऑलरेडी हिंटिंग angst at that anxiety which was later explored by absurd dramatist in 1950s. I should have been a pair of ragged claws. Once again, synecdoche. We are talking about crab. Now, crab scuttling. Scuttling means moving very fast across the floors of silent seas. Though it's a very simple alliteration, but look at the scuttling across the floors of silent seas. Look at the sounds, how many times it occurs. But he does it so effortlessly, T.S. Eliot, that when we read Tennyson, when we read other romantic poets or Elizabethan poets, we pay special attention on the alliteration because we are looking for the musical quality of their poetry. But when we are reading Eliot, it never occurs that he may have used such devices, but you can see for yourself, they are there, scuttling across the floors of silent seas. He says that a pair of ragged claws. He should have been like a crab. Now, why crab? It is very interesting. My suggestion. I think one special thing about crab is that he moves in a horizontal manner. This is called scuttling. It means going from one thought to another thought with great agility. Instead, what he should have done, he should have moved forward, vertical movement. Then he should have thought one thing and taken an action according to it. बगैर कोई एक्शन करे, जो प्रूफोक है, he is moving from one thought to another thought. That is why he says he is just like a crab. And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully. There seems to be no disturbance kind of zone, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, or is it just maling? Maling means only faking sleep, not actually sleeping, stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Remember starting, let us go then you and I. Here it is you and me. Once again, it is a question mark. Who are these two persons? One is obviously the protagonist, Prufrock, and who is the second? It is unanswered, but we can make an idea that it is the fragmented psyche of the protagonist. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, once again look at genuine image, cakes and ices? Why? Obviously, the direct reference is for ice creams, but what is special? Breaking the ice, trying to overcome the shyness. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis, the final, the climax point, from the point of no return? He has to break the ice, he has to venture, he has to put the question. But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet. These three lines, my friends, there is a complete change. These three lines are basically they have biblical reference. They have biblical reference. The first line, wept and fasted, wept and prayed, it it directly refers to Jesus' temptation in the desert. There he wept, there he fasted and prayed. The second line refers to John the Baptist. His head was severed by Herod and it was brought into a plate. So both these persons allude to great religious figures, but very clearly it's good. It's only positive quality of Prufrock. He very candidly says, I am no prophet. Don't consider that I am like these great persons who faced a dilemma during their point of crisis. My point of crisis is there, but I am not like Jesus of John the Baptist. And here is no great matter. He himself now says that they were striving, they were suffering, they were severely punished for a matter of universal significance, but my matter is not so great matter. I have seen moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. If there is one line which totally presents the summary of this poem, it is this line: I was afraid. I have seen the moments of my greatness flicker. There were times when he was about to fulfill his hidden desire. He was about to propose to the lady he loved, but it flickered. The problem with him was he, at the very exact moment, he lost the courage to ask the question. I have seen the eternal footman, obviously death. Now, death has been treated by different poets in different manners. There are so many kind of treatment of death. For example, we have poets like John Donne who almost mocks death. Then we have Shakespeare also who says that art can belittle the efforts of death. Then we have Emily Dickinson who almost nobly portrayed death as a friend, in fact. Sylvia Plath also in the same category. T.S. Eliot has different notions about death, and he presented death in different from different point of view in different poems. Death by water in the wasteland is one good example. There, death plays as a purification agent, but here, death is reduced to a footman, like a servant, a waiter, attendant. But still, this footman is snickering. You can see now what Eliot is basically hinting at. That Prufrock even has no command over death, who is almost a man in waiting. It is snickering. It has a very, we can say, notice mind, and he is looking at the protagonist that yes, time is almost come. Time has almost come with me. And in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it after all? Now, this is a different kind of, we can say, reasoning. He is now he is now defending his inability to propose. He is basically trying to say that why it doesn't matter. After the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile? All these kind of social formalities before the actual proposal, ये सारा हो भी जाता है, and he would have mustered the courage to ask the question. वो इतनी हिम्मत जुटा भी लेता कि वो क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता. Then तब भी उसके दिमाग में एलिमेंट ऑफ डाउट है. व्हाट वुड ही हैव अचीव्ड एक्चुअली? उससे मिलता क्या, उससे उसका ज्यादा अचीवमेंट क्या होता? टू हैव स्क्वीज्ड द यूनिवर्स इनटू अ बॉल, टू रोल इट टुवर्ड्स सम overwhelming question, to say I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you, and I shall tell you all. There is one another reference allusion from Bible. Lazarus was the man who appealed to Christ to brought him back from the hell. Now, friends, remember the epilogue? In the first part we discussed, it started with Dante's poem. In that poem, the man says that thank God nobody returns from the hell, and Eliot is there talking about Lazarus who returned from the hell. He says that he squeezed the universe into a ball. Once again, he is talking about universe, but he has already said that it is not of no great matter. It is now clear his universe is his meager existence, his little existence. He says that he has squeezed it into a ball and roll it towards some overwhelming question, a snowballing effect, until it becomes so overwhelming that nobody can tackle it. To say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. I have come back to tell what was hidden in my heart, what I was not able to say, confess during my first lifetime. If one, the lady, who we can consider to be his beloved, settling a pillow by her head, should say, that is not what I meant at all. That is not it at all. This is the cruel, bitter irony of this situation. What Prufrock is hinting is that maybe after all, I would have mustered the courage. I would have told my lady love that he wants to propose, but there may be a rejection. The lady would have said, sorry, you misinterpreted my advances. I was not hinting at a romantic liaison. I was just responding to your socializing. This may be the result. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets? Once again, look, beautiful imagery is set. A kind of romantic setting is being set. Sunsets, dooryards, sprinkled streets, novels, teacups, skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much. Once again, our anticipation is raised towards some kind of romantic engagement. These are the typical settings of a romantic rendezvous, of a romantic evening. And then once again, in a typical Eliot fashion, it is impossible to say just what I mean. Now, this is what we call in language of psychology aporia. It is a speech deficiency when you are not able to say what do you mean. Jacques Derrida also explored it in his theory of deconstruction. It is impossible to say just what I mean. Even if with the proper ambience, everything is there, the protagonist is not able to share, impossible to express his intimate feelings. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning towards the window should say, that is not it at all, that is not what I meant at all? No, even if he would not have the courage, but the lady, like an X-ray machine, would have read his mind. जैसे कोई मैजिक लालटेन से दीवार के ऊपर शेडोज पड़े और उससे मीनिंग निकाल सकें. The lady might have guessed what is going into the mind of the protagonist, mind of the Prufrock, and very casually, very indifferently, almost nonchalantly, settling a pillow, opening a window, turning towards window, she would have marked, "Oh, you got it wrong, dear. I do not harbor any romantic interest, and I was only responding to you with courtesy." You can see this magic lamp and throwing it as if the lady would be able to read what is in the mind, and her response would have broken the heart. That is not what I meant. And this led to the realization, no, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. The protagonist very clearly indicates that he does not have some high designs, he doesn't have some kind of vengeance in his mind, he does not have a fixed target. I'm an attendant lord. Who is an attendant lord? Obviously he's talking about Polonius in Macbeth, in Hamlet, who was just a courtier, who was always eager to please his master. One that will do to swell a progress. Already progress means cast of a drama. एक प्ले में जितने करेक्टर होते हैं उनमें एक और बढ़ाने के लिए स्टार्ट अ सीन और टू, कभी कभी इनिशिएटिव देने के लिए एडवाइज द प्रिंस. नो डाउट एन इजी टूल. टूल मीन्स हु कैन बी इजीली बिगाइड, जिसको आसानी से अप्लाई किया जा सकता है, अपने अकॉर्डिंग ढाला जा सकता है. डेफरेंशियल ऑलवेज पेइंग रेस्पेक्ट, glad to be of use, always working in for the favor of the king. Politic, always taking into consideration what is right thing to say at the right moment. Cautious, never crossing the limit. And meticulous, very neat and clean and spick and spat doing his job. Full of high sentence but a bit obtuse. Full of high sentence means we can say, you remember that this reference to Chaucer's prologue to Canterbury Tales, and in that particular prologue, full of high sentence, it is used for the clerk of Oxford. Full of high sentence, but once again there is juxtaposition, but a bit obtuse. Bit obtuse, not able to make his meaning clear, and times, indeed, almost ridiculous, almost at times, the fool. My friends, don't treat this fool from King Lear. No, he is wise fool. Obviously, he is not a wise fool. He is a typical fool. I grow old, I grow old. Oh, Falstaff, the immortal character of Shakespeare. Do you remember the lines spoken by Falstaff in Henry IV? I am old, I am old. Similarly, I grow old, I shall wear the buttons of my trousers rolled. Now, another fashion statement of that time. It was considered to be rather unfashionably thing. Shall I part my hair behind? Still thinking about the bald spot. Do I dare to eat a peach? Peach is obviously reference to sexual appetite. Peach is reference to ripeness. Peach is reference to some juicy fruit. There is always a risk for a man who is aging to eat a juicy fruit. He may be not. It may not seem very decorous. I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. You can easily remember John Donne in his Go and Catch a Falling Star. He says that it is almost an impossible task to learn what the mermaids sing. But the protagonist now is he's daydreaming. You can see part the hair behind. You can see the hairs, the line is receding. You can see the folded uh, flannel white trousers, and you can see that mermaid singing each to each. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves. Now he is having a kind of illusion, daydream, that I have seen them riding seaward, going towards the sea on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back. Once again, combing the white hair of the waves. This particular thing, the bald spot, is perturbing him. He is in everything. He is thinking about full grown hair. When the wind blows the water white and black, there is a stormy wind and water is rising, almost looking threatening. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, rather paradoxical. Sea is so vast, so boundless. Chamber always give a claustrophobic image, a very limited space. But for the protagonist, sea is almost like a chamber by seagulls wreathed with seaweed red and brown. He has lingered there because of some seagulls who are wreathed, who are wearing wreaths of seaweed that is red and brown in color. Till human voices wake us and we drown. Once again, a paradox. When he is awoke, he is drowned. How it happens? अगर वो जग गया है तो why he says that we drown? And once again, wake us and we. Go back to the first line of the poem. You and I, and here it is we. जो फ्रेगमेंटेड साइकी थी, वो एक तरह से दो प्रोनाउंस की बजाय उन्होंने एक सिंगल प्रोनाउन का यूज करा है, बट स्टिल इट इज नॉट आई, इट इज वी. साइकी अभी भी फ्रेगमेंटेड है. ये ह्यूमन वॉइसेस अचानक हार्श रियलिटी में उसको लेकर आएंगी, प्रोटैगनिस्ट को, एंड ही विल बी ड्राउन्ड वंस अगेन इनटू द व्हर्लपूल्स ऑफ इनडिसीजन. वापिस से वही मगिंग ऑफ द माइंड स्टार्ट हो जाएगा. वापिस से वही लाइफ, वही सैड ट्रायल्स एंड ट्राइबुलेशंस ऑफ द लाइफ, वही टेकिंग ऑफ द स्टेप एंड गोइंग बैक, वही एडवांस एंड रिट्रीट. So this is a beautiful poem in which the poet has presented a modern, quite an aged man, and how he is suffering from this problem of indecision, how he is not able to take a very simple kind of thing. दोस्तों, अगर आपको ये देखिए, आप देख सकते हैं इसके अंदर सारी चीज़ें दी हुई हैं, उसकी ड्राइंग वगैरह. आपको ये वीडियोस और लेसन पसंद आ रहे हैं दोस्तों, यू कैन शेयर योर व्यूज एंड रिव्यूज अबाउट इट, एंड इफ यू हैव सम अदर पॉइंट दैट यू हैव noticed about this poem, please share it on our channel. It is not my channel, it is our channel. हम सबका ये एक common platform बनना चाहिए जहाँ पर we can discuss about literature, especially students who are aspirant for NET. I request them to pay attention to these great works. थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स।